Okay, I beat on what I could. It's that support that's going through there. It basically goes from here down to, it's like right here. It's like 6 inches or so, maybe 7. I cannot get behind it. And what I'm running into, and I knew this was like this before I started, there's a pretty good gap here. I could actually hear wind coming through it. So when this got pushed in, this kind of got pushed forward. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to get that back. Like I said, this was just a trial and error kind of a deal. I have a feeling I'm going to have to replace this door. I was hoping not to have to, so I don't have to spend the time when I do finally get to paint this car jamming it, and yeah, but that's just how it works. So anyway, I got it beat a little bit here, and then there's a few dents sticking out. And this one was out, and I get a little tap, and it kind of dented this whole thing back in again. And so I have a bad feeling it's going to be that way. Now, I'd like to spend time doing this and then kind of start here and work my way back. But this is going to tell me right here whether it's worth messing with or not. I hate starting in that big area, but really that's the only way I could do it. The only other way that I could kind of half pull that is to have the door partially open, or actually open, and get a hold of it with something here, whether you weld something on the inside, which I hate doing as a seam sealer, but actually weld something to, like on the outside, that you could put like an eyelet on there, or you can put like a come along or something where you could actually pull, as you were trying to pull this out, have somebody kind of help you out and pull that, keep stress on it. And as you pull that out, then that would automatically kind of pull that back. If you ever watched a frame machine work, that's kind of how everything works, is it grabs a hold of certain areas that need to be pulled. Now, the rest of the car is supported, and then when it pulls on it, you actually kind of take a hammer and tap on it, and the metal wants to go back to its original stamp form. And but basically what you got the inside piece of the door, then you got the outer skin. The outer skin goes around and wraps around it, so you got quite a bit of metal there. Thickness wise, I don't think it's a 1/4 inch, but it could be that, or it could be right at a quarter. With you're basically talking about 2 pieces of door and 1 piece of center. I mean, or the end. So it's like three separate pieces of steel. But anyway, I'm going to use this stud gun, kind of show you how it works. I got it from Harbor Freight. It's not that big of a deal. Basically, it puts these little studs in here, and you got to make sure that it only takes a second. And you got to make sure that it's making good contact. Push it in, that's the ground. So you got your tip, and then with the outer part is the ground. Then you grab and push the button, and that's all it takes, and it leaves that stud sticking out. It's really easy to use, and what little I've used it has worked really well. The only part that didn't work was the actual slide hammer part of it, and I'll show you that here in a minute, what I ended up doing. It's better not to use a extension cord on this, so I actually have it plugged in to the ceiling where my garage door opener hooks in, because all I've got is a long extension cord. I don't have any other way to do it. You can use an extension cord, I assume, but to me it's going to be a better. Now, something I did do that I did not mention was I unhooked the battery. Anytime you weld to a car, regardless of what you're welding on, even exhaust, it's a good idea to unhook your battery, especially if it's got a computer on it. But if it's leaking gas or whatever, obviously that's not. You don't want to mess with it. You don't want to mess with welding on a car if it's leaking gasoline. But definitely unhook the battery. I'm only going to put a few in here because, like I said, this is going to tell me pretty quick if I'm getting anywhere. Alright, that's a start. Alright, now, I'll bring it over to you and show you. Alright, the original stud gun, it came with, it actually was a set. You got several of these pins, which you can actually get from Harbor Freight. There's several places that sell those little tips. But basically, when you get this on there, this uses it's got a little wheel. It's like a cam lock setup. So you slide this in, and then when you go to pull, it pulls back and you use the slide hammer. Then when you're done, you're supposed to just be able to do that and it releases. Well, I'm here to tell you, this has never done that. Every one of them has grabbed, and I've either had to pull it off, even a couple of times I've had to knock the roll pin out to get this cam loose. And I tried it several times and finally said, I'm done with it. Now why I kept it, I don't know. But I went to Eastwood, which I'm sure other people sell these. And what they have here is one that that actually tightens up. And so you spin it, loosen it, grabs a hold of it, and when you tighten it up, no, I don't have it very tight, but anyway, and then it won't let go. Then just release it, and it pulls out and it leaves the stud. And they'll break off. That does happen. It's kind of the nature of the beast. Anyway, I'm going to pull a couple just to see what happens. Because I remember which way to turn it, and I don't even know, I just showed you a second ago. You don't want to pull too many in one spot, too much in the same spot. I may kind of move around on it. I'm not getting carried away, I'm not getting aggressive with it. You can see, maybe you didn't see that, I'm not sure what you're actually looking at, to be honest with you. I'm not even sure if you can see. I mean, putting one right in the center of the big dent when it's got creases in it, that's not going to work, because that one actually didn't weld very well. And that happens quite a bit. I've never actually tried to reuse these before, so I'm going to tell you probably not a good idea to try it. That one's not going to stay either. I'm going to put a few more on there and give it a try. It does seem to be doing something, so that's a good sign. I'm going to leave the other ones on until I can, because I may have to pull on some of them again. I wiped it down after I sanded it. I wiped it down with some brake cleaner. You can use several different things to wipe it down with, but I wanted to make sure it didn't have any oil, because I'm having trouble with that new sander. Boy, especially that no make and air compressor I have here at the house, that little 20-gallon. I was having heck trying to sand with this thing. It didn't have a tip on it. Anyway, I was having trouble getting it to do anything, and so I ended up using some WD-40, and I actually had transmission fluid in it, so as a lubricant. There's another one that doesn't have a tip on it. And boy, when it's cold, you wouldn't think transmission fluid is very thick and heavy weight, but it is when it's cold, and I was having trouble getting it to work. So WD-40 was about out of it, so I used some PB Blaster. Boy, it really made the thing speed up, but boy, it was spraying stuff everywhere. So see, I popped that out. So now this isn't, it's still low here. It's got a real low spot here because, like I said, it's creased there. It actually pulled that out pretty good and brought that body line back with it. There's always been a gap here, but at least it's somewhat even. It's still gapped, but it's better than it was. When we do the boys' car, I'll get more into this, unless this one ends up being. I'll show you how to fix this, because like I said, this quarter's been replaced. I know this. This door, it's either been skinned at one time or it has been replaced when they were actually producing these, which had to be the 70s into the early 80s, and then they quit producing them. And I'm guessing, that is just a guess, or somebody had one that they ordered and it sat around, and I don't know. I've just never seen one with as much bodywork as this car's had done to it. I've never seen one that the paint fell off of from the factory of these years. Normally the paint won't let go, I mean, or cracks, and then it rusts underneath. But anyway, I'm not sure, and I'm probably better shut up and quit speculating because it doesn't make any difference. It is what it is. Let's bring it back. Ow. Like I said, it is what it is. See, that's not coming out anymore. So what we got is kind of what we got apparently on that part of it. But, like I said, I'm not a body guy at all. I learned this all by just deciding to try it on my own, kind of watched a handful of videos on people using it. It didn't look like it was that hard. The thing was only like $100. It beats drilling holes like the old way I used to do it. You know, I would have drilled multiple holes through here and used one that had a screw on the end, and usually it always bowed the screws out. I didn't have a welder at the time, so you just weld over, or you just kind of Bondo over top. And I've had people tell me, well, that's good because the Bondo goes through them holes and hangs on better. Nah, it's not. That's not the case. The inside's not prepped, so it's not going to stick to anything. It's just going to be a little, you know, bunch of little snakes sticking through the other side. But anyway, well, this is not doing too bad, but it's also a long way from being right. I mean, it would take so much mud to fill that up. So I will mess with this a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and go across here because what it did, like I said, where I beat on it, it dimpled it out, and then it's still low here, and then I know I've got a low spot here. Now this thing, it had a bunch of Bondo right here, and I can feel that it has been dented in the past. The actual damage started here. If you can see, the bumper mark starts right here, and then, you know, crushed it there. Now I actually wiped this down with brake cleaner, and I've still got a few scratches and scuffs, but you can't. Yeah, most of it went away. Most of it's just the stickiness of the when the plastic transfer, of course, got hot. You know, from her bumper to this, and it got hot, and it actually sort of melts. I'm going to call it melting. I don't know how it adheres to the steel, but it seems to. And generally, you can wipe that off. But anyway, I'm going to continue on with this. There's no sense. You kind of got an idea of what's going on here. There's no sense in you watching me do the whole thing. So anyway, we'll get back with you a little closer.